we go. Okay. Hello and good morning to everyone. I'm so excited to welcome you to today's virtual training session. A special thank you to Rebecca for sharing her time and expertise with us today. I know all of us can always use a refresher or a good training on Google. This training will play a role in the furthering of the mission of the Nonprofit Connection by building the capability and capacity of our nonprofits. This session will provide you with knowledge and tools to be more confident in using Google. And by participating in this session, you're investing in your personal development and contributing to the impact of your organization. The knowledge that you acquire today will help to enhance your capability and foster a stronger and more impactful nonprofit sector. So let's all make the most out of this opportunity to learn and collaborate and collectively make a difference in our community. If you have any questions throughout this training, please feel free to drop them in the chat. And then I appreciate all of you being part of this initiative and hope that you gain some valuable insight through this training. I will go ahead and turn the time over to Rebecca.
All right, Abby, thank you so much for that introduction and welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I am super excited to be providing this training. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. And let me just make sure that everyone can see it. Yep, I got a thumbs up. Excellent. And so I'm also going to pull up the chat window over here. So if during the conversation, if you have any questions, just feel free to drop them there, like Abby said, and I will address them. So again, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about mastering Gmail and Google Drive. My name is Rebecca Robley, and my company is Online and Organized. And just to give you a little brief introduction of who I am, I have spent 25 plus years working in and around technology, mostly for the federal government. I myself am an avid Google user. I have done Google development, and I've been a fierce advocate for them for many, many years. I've personally used them since 2008, and then I've helped clients with Google solutions since about 2016. Personally, I'm a mid-Atlantic transplant coming from Maryland a couple years ago, and I currently live in Ogden. And I just love Utah. I love running, hiking, skiing, and living in this beautiful state. And a couple years ago, I started Online and Organized because I had kind of grown tired of, not feeling like I was making an impact. I really enjoy helping people. I really enjoy doing this sort of work, teaching and trying to help people become more efficient in their personal and business lives. So I started Online and Organized to do just that, to empower individuals and small business owners through technical coaching, consulting, and education. And like the mission statement says, I specialize in Google. It's a great tool suite that really can help with your productivity and help you streamline your operations. It's pretty low cost. So I just am a really big proponent of Google products. So I'm really excited to jump right in and get started on this training with you today. But before I do that, I was hoping we could just do a really, really quick intro. I'm just curious, if you could introduce yourself, your name, what experience you have, and most importantly, what you're hoping to get and learn from this training, so I can kind of make sure I hit on the topics that people want to hear about. So let me adjust my screen here. Just kind of going down the list, can we hear from Janet?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jeanette Hernandez. We use Google and the Gmail on a daily. And for me, I would say to hope to learn to set up the Google Meet. I kind of have a hard time on that.
Okay, thank you. How about Carol?
Hi, I'm Carol Felici from Seroptimus of Ogden, and I don't Google. I don't know why. I've always been a PC person, and so Google is like a foreign object.
Okay. Well, I think we'll definitely give you an introduction today to what Google is all about so that you can get started using it. welcome. How about C. Brown?
I'm Camille Brown. I have used Google tools every day for work and personal things. I feel comfortable with it, but I just want to see if there's any extra tips and things I can learn today.
Perfect, welcome. And Julia? Maybe we don't have Julia with us. We have, I think.
Julia, you're
Oh,
on mute. I can hear her, but she's on mute.
Oh, we're having some technical difficulties there. I guess iPhone, is that Susie?
Yes. I'm Susie with Susie Senior Services, and I know a little bit about Google. I know within my company we use it quite frequently, so I'm excited to learn a little bit more myself.
Awesome, welcome. And we have R. Martinez.
Hi, my name is Rosario Martinez, and also I don't know how to use the Google Meet very well, so that's what I would.
All right. Thank you. And Neely.
Yes, I'm Neely Sorensen. I work here in Ogden at Page. We use Google tools quite frequently. I was just hoping to maybe capture a few little tidbits or little shortcuts.
Perfect, welcome. And next we have Tammy.
Excuse me. Hi, I'm Tammy Corrigan. I'm with the Christmas Box International. We do use Google for email and Google Docs daily here at the Christmas Box. I've been here almost 2 years. I feel very comfortable with it. Definitely want to learn what I don't know because I came from a company that used Teams and a lot of Microsoft Office. So I'm used to Excel, Word, all of that. But the Google Docs throw me just a little. So that's what I'm
Okay.
going to learn.
All right, welcome.
Thanks.
And Ruth. No. Shyla.
Yes, hi, sorry, I muted. Shyla Garcia. I have actually been a SME for Google with previous companies, but I don't use it nearly as much as I used to. So I'm really looking forward to a refresh. What's new? How can I incorporate Google into what I'm utilizing now? And yeah.
Perfect, welcome.
Thank you. And I'm with Admiral Beverage. I don't know if everyone said that. I'm with Pepsi. I'm the HR
Excellent.
manager at Pepsi.
Georgia.
Oh, hi. So I'm kind of the same as the other gal. We do a lot of Microsoft Office stuff, and I've done some Google, but not enough to feel very comfortable with it. It seems like when I want it to work, I can never get it to work. So that's probably my technological inexperience, but I am just hoping to kind of come into the 21st century, I guess, with it. So
Excellent.
looking forward to your help. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Juanita.
Hi, I'm Juanita. I have a lot of experience using Google tools, but I don't have a lot of experience using Google Drive, and it's the one
Okay.
thing we mainly used for Dia de los Muertos, so that's what I'm hoping to learn today.
Perfect, welcome. Let's do Bridget.
I'm Bridget Foster with the Christmas Box House. I use Google on a daily basis and just looking to see what I can learn that I don't already know.
Perfect. I'm kind of losing track here. So Marcel.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if my voice is on. My name's Marcel Stewart. I'm with Future Shoe Training, and I'm just trying to see if I can learn more. I'm not super familiar with it, but I use it a lot. So
okay,
if that makes
great.
sense.
Yes. Yes, so, I'm hearing a bunch of different things. Some individuals are SMEs, some are just learning Google for the first time. So I just wanted to share that, this is going to be a 10,000 foot view. We could probably spend a day going over, each individual tool in the Google suite. But my hope today is kind of present you some basics with the tools and leave you with some resources to help you explore further after we're done. Before I start the slides, did I miss anyone? Again, I apologize. My screen was jumping around a little bit.
I
Anyone
finally
else
got
want to share?
I finally was able to unmute myself, but now Rosario needs to mute hers because we're sitting close together.
Okay, great. Was there something in particular you wanted to learn?
Yes, when it comes to organizing the Google Docs and the Google Sheets, like on the backside of Google, I feel like my files aren't organized, and so I would like to know how to organize myself better on Google.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and we'll definitely touch on that today.
Thank you.
So in the essence of making sure that we can get through some of this, I'm going to go ahead and start the presentation. If you have any questions, again, feel free to jump in. I am monitoring the chat here on the side, so hopefully I can answer your questions as they come up. But let's go ahead and jump in and get started. So as you saw in the agenda that was sent out today, we're really going to talk about Gmail and Google Drive. Google has a bunch of different tools that are great for personal and professional use. But these are really the two main workhorses in the Google tool suite. Gmail, of course, which is where you get your email via Google, and Drive, which is where you basically store and organize your files. So let's go ahead and talk first about some Google and Gmail basics. What we'll first go over is how to navigate the interface in Google Gmail. We'll talk a little bit about how to compose and send emails and how you could potentially organize emails using labels and filters. And then we'll talk briefly about some of the communication tools that you can launch from within your inbox that will help you collaborate with others. So I'm going to go ahead now and switch my screen. And I should say that I am going to be showing you my own personal Google accounts in this training. I do have a Google Workspace account versus a personal account. And from a standpoint of learning Google, personal and workspace accounts really aren't that different. There are some controls and restrictions that you may have in your own work Google account based on kind of how they decide to lock it down. But a lot of the same functionality and features appear across both. And if you have a workspace account because it will be like your username at a domain. So for instance, my Gmail is rebecca@onlineandorganized.com. My personal email account is, my personal name at gmail.com. So that's just kind of a quick way to tell whether or not you're working with a workspace account or a personal Gmail account. It's what's that domain? Is it your work domain or is it your just gmail.com? So let me jump right here, and I'm going to go over very briefly the interface. It sounds like everyone is pretty much, with maybe the exception of one or two individuals, used Google. So this is probably just going to be a quick review. But just to kind of point it out, you have, of course, your list of emails over here on the right. You have what is called a navigation panel here on the left. Actually, it's kind of in the middle between the far left bar and this bar. And I should say, too, that these are all configurable. So we'll go very briefly into some of the settings that you can adjust with Google and Gmail. But this is just how I kind of have mine set up. I feel that this works the best way, just kind of having just the titles and the names of my Gmail on the right side, and then the navigation on the left side. And again, we could spend many hours kind of going through what each of these different folders here mean, how to adjust them, how to tweak the settings. But in essence of time, we're just going to kind of briefly touch on the highlights here. So one thing that I did want to show everyone how to do, again, if you use Google, you already know how to do this, but just a quick reminder. Whenever you want to send an email, that's always a question that clients ask. Well, how do I actually send emails in Gmail? Well, it's pretty easy. You just click this compose button, and you have a new message that pops up. So I'm going to send this to myself. Test message, and it's just a matter of typing in whatever your email message is and hitting send. But one thing I did want to point out here that is something that not everyone is familiar with, and I think is a really cool and neat feature and function of Gmail, is that you have the ability to delay send your emails. So let's say that, well, actually, I'll give you a great example. I'm a really early riser, and I am usually checking my email first thing in the morning and writing and composing responses, but I don't necessarily want to send emails to others before, say, 8 a.m. So Gmail makes it really easy for you to do that. You go ahead and let's just say sending test message. You would just type your email message as normal, and then instead of clicking this send button here, there's a little drop down here to the right, more send options. And when you click on that, you can schedule send. So let's say I want to schedule it to send tomorrow morning, or let's say I want to schedule it to send this afternoon. We'll do that. Basically, it goes ahead and puts it in the outbox, but it won't actually send it to the receiver until that scheduled time. And then over here, you'll notice in the navigation pane, we now have a scheduled email, a 1, and it's bolded, which indicates that there's a message ready to go. And it says very clearly here that it's going to be sent at 1 p.m. You do have the ability to go in and modify that message to send it at a different time, or even modify the message itself. But I've just found that that's a really handy, helpful trick. I use it a lot. I also use it sometimes to help me if I have a very important email that I know I need to address at a certain time. I will just basically reply to myself sometimes with what I want, action I want to take on the email, and send it to myself later in the day, or even another day. So that's just a real quick kind of trick that I love personally that Gmail offers you. Any questions about sending or composing emails? It's pretty straightforward. I think, we're all pretty familiar at this point with using emails, but I did just want to make sure that everyone was familiar with the interface and where those emails get created. So another thing that I want to point out is the settings. And like I mentioned before, there's many different settings that you can tweak with Gmail to kind of set it up and work as you want it to work. But sometimes it's not always intuitive to find where those settings are. There's like a hamburger menu here, there's the dot menu here. The settings is actually here, it's a gear. So when you click on the settings, there you go. Google gives you some quick settings that are really handy that I found that really affect the way that Gmail is set up and operates for you. First of all, the density setting, that's one I always like to point out. That makes it smaller or larger, and I'll give you an example. Right now, it's kind of at the default, but you can see as I kind of change these options, the visual aspect of my Gmail changes. I'm just going to keep it at default, but there are some just little different tweaks that you can make to personalize your own Gmail account. You can also change the theme if you want a nature theme, or I think you can probably upload your own picture to make it kind of personalized. You can also organize your inbox in a variety of ways. And again, we won't go too deep into the details of this, but just know that there are many different ways that you can flag your emails, flag them as important, flag them for follow-up, and you basically can tweak the settings of Gmail to be able to list those different emails first. So as an example down here in the settings, you can see important first. So that would automatically display the emails most important at the top and less important at the bottom. Me personally, I just tend to, have them come in as default, and I like to try to keep on top of my email and deal with it as soon as I can. Although this isn't a great example, as you can see, some of my dates are a little old, but yeah, so Google gives you a lot of settings that you can tweak to make your inbox your own. You can also choose whether or not you want to have the email previewed. Right now I have no preview, but you could select this. So actually I'm not going to do that because it's going to reload, but that would give you kind of a snippet of what that email looks like right there. So you wouldn't have to click on each email and open it up to read it. So I encourage you, as you are using Google Gmail and becoming more familiar with the interface, to just kind of play around with some of these settings and see what works best for you and how you like to see your email. I will jump in here real fast and just show you that there are a bunch of different settings that you can tweak. Again, I'm not going to go through all of these, but all sorts of things like what accounts come into your Gmail. If you have particular addresses that you want to block, you can make those changes there. Gmail and Google has a bunch of different add-ons, which are different productivity tools that you can download and add on to make Gmail even better. There's a place to adjust those here. Some advanced and offline and theme related things as well. So again, we could probably spend a whole afternoon going through these and what they all mean, but I would encourage you to jump in, play around with them, take a look, and see how you can make your Gmail personalized for you. All right. Any questions? I see.
No,
Nope. Okay.
not for me.
Hey, I have one question. Sometimes
Yes.
I feel like with Gmail, like you have a thread going
Uh-huh.
and then it gets lost, it gets buried, like an important email in that. Does that with those options or whatever cover that? Or is there a way to, do you know what, I don't know if anyone else has that problem, but
So are you referring to like threaded emails?
Yeah, and then it's like something, they start a new thread, but it's with that same thread, it's a different topic, and then it's something important that I want to remember, but then I can't find it. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think you touched on one thing that I didn't discuss, but I think is a really handy feature of Gmail, which is the ability to thread topics into kind of one email. And you can see an example on my screen right here. Google Domains has this 2 next to it. So that indicates that there are 2 messages in this email thread, one from me and then one from probably Google Domains. Down here is another one where there's a 4, which indicates that this is actually like almost collapsed and there are actually 4 different email threads going on. However, I do understand what you're saying. If someone goes in and replies to your email and they change the subject, it's not going to come up in that threaded email conversation. So what I have found, actually, it's a great segue into the next thing I wanted to touch on, which is labels and filtering and archiving. I found that like sometimes I just need to label emails. You'll see here I have a to-do. That's kind of my way of visually indicating, hey, this is something that I need to address and come back to. Since Gmail is built by Google, it also harnesses the power of Google's algorithms behind the scene, and it has a really powerful search functionality. So you can search your inbox for emails from a particular sender or emails from a particular sender with this particular group of words in it. So Really how you use your inbox is going to be kind of depending on your personal preferences, but those are just a couple of ideas of how you might be able to organize your inbox and not lose emails. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, so when you push, okay, so let's say you have a thread going and then
Uh-huh.
that Kyle sent you something that was kind of unrelated, but you needed to address maybe later on.
Uh-huh.
Would you label that to do?
I
And
would.
then, and it would include that whole thread, or would it just be that?
It would just include that one email.
Okay.
But you could label it with you know, a to do and have both emails labeled with to do. And this is kind of getting back to what I was talking about before with like the ability to schedule emails and whatnot. One thing that you can do, which again is I think a fantastic feature that Google offers, is snooze emails. And basically what that does, I'll just give you a quick example here. Let's say I want to snooze this Ogden Weber chamber. Let's say I know I need to take action on that, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click this little labels button right here. And I have a bunch of different labels that I, you know, organize my inbox with. I'm going to go down and jump to do. So again, I know that I want to take an action on it. And this is just a visual way for me to know that I need to do something with it. And then I'm going to use this function called snooze. And it's this little clock right up here. And this basically allows me to push the email up to the top of my inbox again at a particular time. So let's say I know I'm going to have this afternoon at 1 p.m. time to deal with this email. So what I would do in that case is I would click the snooze button and I would say, you know, pick time and date. I'm going to say today at 1 p.m. Save it. It disappears from my inbox. It goes over actually to the snoozed folder here that you can get to over on the navigation pane. But again, it will pop into my inbox at 1 p.m. this afternoon with that to-do label on it. So that's another way that you can kind of clean up your inbox and help you streamline, you know, when you might want to answer particular emails.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I just touched on the labeling of emails. One thing that I did want to share too is, again, another kind of tip or trick for how you can make your inbox cleaner and more efficient is using something called filters. And filters are a way to automatically take an action on a particular email as it comes in. So let's say I know every time I have a Women in Business email come in, I want to label it with the Women in Business label. I would click on the particular email, click on the 3 dots for more, filter messages like these. And let's say instead of having this random list, it says Women in Business. So now I'm saying basically, if it has the words women in business, I want to take action on it. So I'm going to create this filter. And before I do that, just quickly, you can make filters based on who a message is from, who it's to, the subject, what words it has in it, the size, so on and so forth. When I create the filter, I get a bunch of different options. I can say skip the inbox and archive it. When you archive a message, it goes straight to the labels section over here under the label that you have assigned it. You can mark it as read so it doesn't show up as unread, star it, apply a particular label, which is what I want to do. You can forward it to someone automatically, delete it, send a template response, so many different options. And for some reason here, my screen is not cooperating. All right, let me try that again. Move it down a little bit. Sometimes Google can be a little finicky. Nope, it won't let me. Usually at the bottom, it has a button that says create filter, but for some reason it's being hidden right now. So basically, when you create a filter, you can take an action on it. You can archive it, you can add a label to it, you can set it to be forwarded to someone. It's just another way to kind of control the chaos of your inbox. Any questions about labels or filters? I know I went through that really fast. All
Can you
right.
go back to where you get
Sure.
into the labels, please?
Where you create the labels,
Correct.
or okay.
Correct.
So you have a couple of different ways that you can create labels. Right here in the navigation pane, you'll see that the title labels, and if you click the plus button, you can create a new label. So I can call this a test label. You have the ability to nest. So depending on how deep you want your organization layers to be, you could nest it under one label or particular. But let me just show you real fast what happens when I create this test label. Create a test label. I see that test label now appears under my labels section here. Once I have this label created, I can label any of my email messages with that label. Again, I'm a very visual person, so I love using color for a lot of things. So one of the first things I always do whenever I create a new label is I go in and I change the label color, which you can do by selecting the label here, clicking the 3 dots, and adjusting the label color. So let's say maybe I want to make it that bold red color. Now, if I go to my inbox and let's say that I want to label this with test, I'll scroll down to test. I'll hit apply, and test shows up in red.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. You can also see a list of the labels under settings, but I won't go back and show that because I know we're running a little low on time and I definitely want to get to Drive. But very quickly, just to show you a couple other cool collaboration features that we have here in Gmail, you can set up chats. So you can set up chats with individual users one-on-one. Those chats would appear under direct messages, this direct messages section right here. Here I have set up a chat with myself just for fun. You can also set up what Google calls spaces, and chat is kind of the rebranding of what they used to call Hangouts. It's a way to collaborate and communicate with one or more individuals. Spaces is meant for conversations that you have with 3 or more individuals. As an example for this training, I set up a space called the 2024 Conference Planning, just as kind of a quick demonstration of the type of chats and things that you can do all within the Gmail interface. You can chat with your team members, and it keeps a history so that you'll be able to scroll back and see kind of what the conversation has been. One thing that I think is really cool is that you can share. So you can share files and things that you've created within Google Drive here within a small team and comment on them and do all sorts of things. And you can also create joint tasks here that will show up for the team members that you've invited to your particular space. And again, this is a 10,000-foot view of Google Spaces and chats, and there's much more to learn about that, but I just did want to let everyone know that this is an option. If you're looking for a free, already integrated in collaboration tool, Spaces and Google Chat is a great option for you and your organization, and you can access it right from the Gmail interface. And then finally, another collaboration tool that Gmail offers is Google Meet. Google Meet is very similar to Zoom. It doesn't have as many of the bells and whistles. It's designed to try to make it as user-friendly as possible. But it works very similar to the way that Zoom does. Meetings have IDs. You can schedule meetings and invite people to meetings as you can with Google. From this interface, you can either join a meeting that's within progress, which is this button right here, or you can create a new meeting. If I had any Google Meet meetings on my calendar and scheduled, they would show up under here, under my meetings. The nice thing about Google Meet is, of course, again, because it's within the Google ecosystem, you have the ability to do things like share documents very easily, collaborate in real time with others using Google Meet. So it's a very powerful tool that I think is just a very nice alternative to Zoom. Even if you have a personal Gmail account, not a paid workspace account, you get up to 60 minutes free. Whereas Zoom, you're limited to, I think it's 40 minutes. So it's, you know, something maybe if you haven't explored it, give it a shot, maybe try out a test meeting, play around with it and see if it will work for you and your organization in maybe a way that, you know, Zoom works for you now, but again, it's free and it's already integrated into the Google ecosystem. So before I jump into an overview of Google Drive, does anyone have any questions about Gmail, Meet, Chat, or any of those tools that we've looked at so far that I could answer?
I'm sorry, this is Carol Felici. I do have a question about where did the column on the left where it says Mail, Chat, and Meet, where did that come from? How do you put that in?
How did I get to the screen that I'm on right now?
No, how did you get this column onto the page?
So this is just kind of the standard setup. If you don't have it, you may have nope, sorry. There's a setting that you can do to show it. And, you know, I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but I will make a note to I can figure out what that setting is.
Okay.
And I will have Abby send out that answer to the question for you.
I can deal with it later.
Okay. All right, good question though. All right, so let me jump back. We talked about how to navigate the Google interface, how to compose, send, and organize your emails using labels and filters, and how you can use some of those built-in communication tools like Chat and Meet. Let's talk a little bit now about Google Drive. We'll do kind of the same thing. We'll talk about how to navigate the Google Drive interface, how to create, upload, download, and delete files, and how I like to keep my files organized within Google Drive. And then we'll hit on a little bit of Google Drive collaboration, how to share your files and folders, how to find folders shared with you, and how to collaborate with others on Google Documents. So let's jump back over here. You can access your Google Drive in several different ways. You can use the address bar up here at the top and just type in drive.google.com to go directly to your Google Drive. You can also, if you're within your Gmail account, go to these Google Apps right here and click on the Drive icon, which will take you directly to Google Drive. So if you haven't ever seen Google Drive before, this is what the interface looks like. Again, mine is a little different just because it is a Google Workspace account versus a personal account, but the functionality and features are pretty similar. You'll see a list of files and folders here kind of on the right. And on the left, again, like you see in Gmail, you'll see a navigation bar where you can navigate to different places within your Google Drive. So you can think of your Google Drive as like an electronic filing cabinet where you can keep folders and files and all sorts of things like that.
Do you have any time after your Weber meeting? Or
could we mute?
I just have a few.
Thank you. All right, so I'm gonna be a little meta with some of this training, and I'm actually gonna jump into one of these folders that I've created for this presentation that I'm giving you right now. So what I did and what I do a lot of times is I will create a folder within my Google Drive and organize all the information I need right within the folder, and that's exactly what I've done here. So I'm going to jump in. You can tell this is a folder because it's got this little folder icon. And you see when I go into that folder, a couple things happen. First of all, it gives me kind of a navigation path here at the top. So I know my drive is kind of the top of my file listing. Course Mastering Basics is the folder that I just jumped in, and all of these listings here on the right are files or additional folders that are within this Mastering Google Basics folder. Very quickly, to create a file, it's as simple as going over here to the New button and clicking New, and you'll see you can create a bunch of different files or different folders within Google Drive. You can create, again, a new folder. You can create a Google Doc, which is like the equivalent of Microsoft Word, a sheet, which is like an Excel sheet, slides, PowerPoint, and Forms is kind of like a survey. There's also additional Google file types, but we aren't going to get into that in this particular training. But just know, if you are ever in a situation where you want to create a file or a folder, all you have to do is click that New button and it will appear. So let's create a new Google Doc. And I'll just call this New Document. You can see that it opens right away. And if I go back, it opens in a new tab. If I go back to my other tab where the file listing originally was, you'll see that this new document is now listed within this particular folder. Just real quickly, let's say I had a folder or a file on my desktop that I wanted to upload into the cloud, because that's where Google Drive lives. It lives in the cloud. It would simply be as easy as going over here to the New button and clicking the file upload. When you click the file upload, it will give you a interface, which you're familiar with. It's the ability to choose a file. You would click the file, click open, and it would automatically upload it to your Google Drive. Downloading a file is simple as selecting the file and then going up to this menu up here and clicking download. That will, again, bring up a file selector that will let you choose where you want that download to go. You also have the ability, when you have selected a particular file, to delete it, and that's just the trash can item or icon. You also have the ability to move files around. So you can drag and drop, similar to Windows or Mac, by selecting a file and just kind of moving it around. But you can also select more concretely the file or folder where you want it to go by clicking this Move button. And the Move button will allow you to navigate through all your particular folders and select the folder that you want it to be moved to. All right, that was a lot of information really fast about an overview of Google Drive. Did anyone have any questions about what I just went?
Yeah, so I just want to double check. If I have a Word doc that I want to put into my Google, then I would just do what you did. I'd go to New.
Yep.
And then
File upload.
Okay.
Yes.
And then I would find it on my Word doc, and then it would just turn it into a Google Doc.
It will upload it. You have the ability to go in and turn it into a Google Doc, but it should keep that file extension. So it should still be a docx that will upload to your drive. But you can open it and convert it to a Google Doc if you choose to do that.
Okay.
Also, one thing to note too is if you ever are, email the document, you can actually add an email document to your Google Drive through Gmail. It will appear as an option in the bottom of an email if it has an attachment to save to drive. And saving to drive simply means that it will copy it from your Google Gmail interface or your message to your Google Drive. And then once it gets saved, you can kind of move it around using that move functionality to whatever folder it makes sense for you. So a couple different ways to get folders and files added to your Google Drive.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, good question. Another thing that I just wanted to point out here, just from a general organization standpoint, one thing that I have found to be really helpful, and some of my clients have also found this to be helpful, is to leverage the power of color within Gmail and Google Drive. So as you remembered from Gmail, when we were looking at it, all of my labels had different colors. Over here on my drive, all of my folders over here also have matching corresponding colors. So this is just a way for me to very easily visually see, you know, oh, you know, this is a file that's associated with marketing, or this is a folder, an email that's coming in that's marketing because it's purple. So just kind of a fun tip or trick that you might want to leverage as you are using Google Drive and Gmail yourself. And one other thing that I want to share is another question that I get asked frequently is, okay, you know, Google Drive is great, but how do I actually collaborate with others within Google Drive? And Google gives you a lot of different options to share and collaborate with others within the Drive interface. You can share the contents of an entire folder, or you can share just one document. And I'll give you an example of how you can do both. So let's say I want to share this Mastering Google Basics folder with myself in my personal account. I would go ahead and select that folder. I would click the little icon up here that is a person with a plus next to it, which says share. And after this loads, it will give me the ability to add in someone's email address and add them as a collaborator or a viewer for this particular folder. And actually, I misspoke. You have the option of giving them different levels of control over a folder. The levels are viewer, which means that they can, again, just kind of basically see what's in the folder and not do much with it. Commenter, which means that they can comment on documents and whatnot within the folder. And editor, which means they pretty much have full access to that folder. They can organize, they can add new files, they can remove files, edit them, so on and so forth. This is one of those areas where, depending on how your organization has Google Drive set up, could potentially affect who you can share files and folders with. You may have it set up within your organization where you can only share things within the same organization. So for instance, you couldn't share it with someone whose email address was at gmail.com. But if you ever run into that, you can talk to your IT administrators to see if there's a way to maybe make an exception for that within your organization. But just wanted to give you a heads up in case you encounter that. If for some reason you can't share something with someone else, that could be one of the reasons why. So I'm going to just exit out of this real fast, and I'm going to jump in and show you, you know, instead of sharing a particular folder, how you can share and collaborate on a specific document. So let's go back to this new document that I just created. And let's say that I want to share it with, again, myself, my personal email address. So I will make myself an editor. I notify people, will send them an email. I don't want to do that because I already know that, you know, this is something that I know that I'm sharing this with myself. Okay, and there was an issue. This is always fun doing things live. So this is an example of external, who owns the item. I'm going to share it anyway. So now you'll see, again, Google is very big also on visual indicators. You'll see two people kind of grouped next to that new document. That's a really quick way for you to be able to see very quickly, this is a document that's shared with someone. So basically, if I open that new document, I can go ahead and, you know, make my edits. When I log into my personal account, I will see the exact same copy of this document with these edits made. one thing that you can do if you are sharing with someone is, you know, make comments on the document, which is really helpful when it comes to collaboration. So I clicked on this little button up here that looks like a little text bubble. This is the comment section, so I can add a comment at myself. Please review this ASAP. That comment will basically show on both of our views of this document until it gets resolved. Going back to Google Meet, another one of the reasons why I love Google Meet as it's integrated into the Google Suite is that, you know, if you had a particular question or maybe you wanted to go over this document live in person, you can actually launch Meet straight from this particular interface. Up here, there's a little camera icon. You can click this to join a call. It's probably not going to let me do that since I'm in a Zoom call right now, but you can basically click on that and collaborate kind of in real time on this particular document. And you can do this for many different types of Google Docs. Again, Meet is a powerful tool that's integrated, so you have access to pretty much everything that you've created in Google Drive from within Meet. So that's a little bit on, you know, how to share files, what different types of files you can create, how you move files, how you delete files, how you upload files, how you can potentially organize files using colors and folders. Is there any other question on Google Drive that I may not have touched on? Yes, I see a hand raised. Oh, you're muted. Can you type your question in?
So you can hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi, my name is Josefina. Yeah, one time I try share the big file around 700 pages.
Okay.
And it's very difficult, and I never know what can I do for share because the person told me it's very big file.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, so that's actually a really great point. And one of the awesome things about sharing within Google Drive and sharing, you know, within kind of the Google ecosystem, you know, it used to be back in the day, you had like a limit on the amount of, or the size of a file that you could share in email. When you share a file in Google, it doesn't really affect the other person's ability to get that email. So if you share it as a Drive link, or you go through and share it, you know, via this interface like we just went through, it's just basically going to send a link to someone to view that document. So it's not going to clutter up their inbox necessarily. It's not going to, you know, make it hard to share. It will just literally send them a link to that document for them to view on the web.
okay, thank you.
Yes, yeah. And that's kind of actually another thing that I love about the Google Drive interface as well. Because you access this through the web and because everything is kind of within the cloud, everything has a unique URL. So, you know, if I knew that I was going to use and access this new document a lot, all I have to do is simply bookmark it, just like you would bookmark, like, you know, a news site or, you know, your favorite shopping site or whatnot. So you could just bookmark it, save it in your bookmarks in your browser, and then access it easily that way. So you don't need to remember that it's within this folder or whatnot. You could just simply bookmark it and go to it immediately anytime you wanted to in your browser. So that's some of the powerful things that you can leverage when you use Google Drive to create and to share folders and files. All right. Any other questions before we just kind of go over some wrap-up information? All right. So let's jump back over. Steps. So, we really covered a lot in this particular discussion. We talked about how to navigate. We talked about how to use tips for organizing Gmail, delay send, filters, archiving, so on and so forth. We also talked and touched a little bit on how to potentially collaborate with others in Gmail and Drive, but there are many, many different additional features and functions that Google Drive and Gmail offer you. And I've put together just a couple of references. If you are interested in exploring Gmail further and want to get even more deep dive training, I have included a couple links here for Google's Gmail training specifically and Google Drive training. They also have a pretty robust support system. So, if you have very specific questions, you can email them or post a question on some of their forums, and they're generally pretty good about getting back to you quickly. So, that's a resource if there's more that you want to learn or have very specific questions about your situation. I've also included some Gmail cheat sheets, Drive cheat sheets, and shortcuts if that's something that you like. And I just saw a question, will you please email this recording training to us? I believe Abby is going to do that. So everyone should have access to this presentation and this recording after this topic is done.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Abby. Yes. And then just real quickly, I just did want to say too, again, I'm super passionate about Google. I love learning more about it. I love exploring it. I love helping others get the most out of it. So if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out to me anytime. I have my email address here. That's my phone number. So yeah, if you have specific questions, feel free to reach out and I am happy to help. So I really appreciate everyone, all your questions, your attention, joining us this morning. And I guess I will turn it over to Abby since it's 11 o'clock right on the dot.
Rebecca, thank you so much for your time and energy. I can tell how much you know about this topic, and I'm sure that it could be a full week-long training on how to utilize all of the tools of Google. I definitely picked up a few things. I appreciate you sharing your knowledge with us. And like we said in the chat, I will be sending out this recording as well as the slides from Rebecca with her contact information, so that if you have follow-up questions or are interested in involving her in a bit bigger project with your organization, you have that option. I will also be sending out a survey. Please take this survey. It really helps me to track the success of these, to find out ways that we can better support your mission, and to keep these free. We really need this data. So with that, I will give you back the rest of your day. Thank you all so much, and I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you again, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.